Oh, your background. I have a random ladder that I tried to cover with a pillow. And as you can see, because I
I'm
have
gonna
to pick.
open the live.
Okay, we're live. That is I'm just gonna be like, I am moving. I was sitting here taking.
I had to mute us on YouTube. Sorry.
That's cool.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we look good on YouTube too. Yay.
I hate how on our side we can see that paused thing.
Mm-hmm.
It always throws me off.
Paused.
Can no one else see it? Is it me?
It might be on yours because there's no pause thing on mine this time. But I've seen it before. Oh man. Whew. I'm literally just like, the fact that I haven't had a breakdown yet, God's work.
You've been doing a lot. I can't even fathom trying to move and then dealing with all the bullshit you've had to deal with in the midst of it.
No, like it got worse. I was sitting there like, you know what? I'm over it. Like, the adulting is a setup.
It's a setup. It's a setup for failure.
Yeah, and then it's like people are literally set up for failure because, like, if your parents have never gone through the process of buying a home, then like you have to do it. Like, my parents have bought a home before, and I am still struggling with that thing, trying to figure this all out.
Well, I feel like when your parents buy a home, they're not like cluing you into the process.
Mm-hmm.
That and the fact that my parents are buying a home as vets, and as vets, like, we don't, all the fees that I'm paying, my parents have never seen before.
Wow.
So like they were like, oh, I didn't even know that existed. And it's like, I can't be mad at you because you didn't know.
That's awful. I'm so sorry you're having to go through that, Brittany.
Man, that video of what I learned about buying a house is going to be hilarious. Because, yeah. I wonder if we're actually going to get people to come on the live today. Because, I mean, you know, a lot of people aren't going to work tomorrow, which lucky.
I have to go to work. I work in the medical field. We ain't got no closing.
I work in the oil field, and they don't close down unless they really have to.
I'm in school, and my school decided to be the last person on earth to close. But now they're talking about refunds. So I'm just like, yes, give me a refund for the dorm I will not be staying in for the next 2 months.
Wow.
It's closed for 2 months?
We're only doing online school now.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, they better give you that coin back. Shoot.
Seriously. Y'all, are we ready? Are we ready? I have so many thoughts, and like, I don't even know where to begin.
Look, let me show you. So I started marking the book with tabs.
Oh,
right?
wow.
I stopped. Like, I stopped about right here. I never finished tabbing because it just got so much. Like,
it got to be too much.
Yeah, like the blue. The blue was anytime she put up a shell or mentioned a shell. The yellows were like anything traumatic that was like, oh my God. Like, it is.
Let's give people some background because I don't think everyone read the book. And also for people who may run across this who have not yet read the book, I think we should
do our little introduction thing.
Yeah, so first we're going to introduce ourselves if anyone's new.
Since it's on my channel, I'll start. Hi, I'm Brittany, aka Melanin Eclectic. Welcome to the Black Prose Book Club.
Yay!
Oh, this is the end of quarter one. And we'll keep going with introductions because end of quarter one is a lot, and I'm sorry.
So much.
Okay, I am Troy Nicole, and my channel is called The Bookish Wallflower.
And And you never plug your other channel. I always wait for it and you never mention it.
We'll plug the other one at the end.
I can't with Troy. Okay. Hi, my name is Oshale, and my channel name is Oshi Reads. And a little bit of background about the book. This is our end of quarter read, or our first quarter read rather. And this is Black Girl Unlimited by Echo Brown. It is autobiographical and yet not. So it's strongly autobiographical, but it has heavy elements of magical realism and some fantastical elements, but it's based on the author's life and her growing up life. And I will just start off by saying that when we chose this book, I didn't really do a lot of research. Like I didn't read the Goodreads reviews or anything. I just read the dust jacket. So actually reading the book was quite a shock. I do feel like there should have been way more trigger warnings. I mean, there are some in the very front right here.
In the dust jacket, at the last paragraph, it says, heavy autobiographical and infused with magical realism. Black Girl Unlimited fearlessly explores the intersections of poverty, sexual violence, depression, racism, and sexism.
But I read that, but I still didn't expect it to be as visceral and gut punching as it was.
Yeah, I feel like, because this is the first book that I've ever wanted a trigger warning for.
That you've what?
That I've ever wanted or felt like I needed a trigger warning.
Amen. I felt like I wish it had specifically said, please be aware of these triggers, and then listed them. And I think that would have been more attention grabbing than just that little paragraph at the bottom, because a lot of books deal with a lot of those issues and are not.
Right. I thought they were going to just graze over it and just be on about their business. But oh my God, like I said, I tried to tab this book and it got to the point where like the shells and the shells are blue. The magic is orange, even though I realized the magic is a metaphor. The yellow is like trauma that I wasn't prepared to experience. And I think the pinks are just WTF moments. I don't know how to explain it. It started off like, I don't even know how to explain.
Give a brief synopsis of the plot before you start.
So the story is about a girl named Echo Brown, who is the author. She lives in a home with her mother, her stepfather, and her two brothers. Her mother is a recurring crack addict who has a lot of problems, a lot of issues. I think she also has mental issues. But she's poor, so she lives in Section 8, and she's just trying to get by in life. She has the dream of going to Dartmouth, and like we go from when she was 6 to when she was 17 or 18, I think.
18, yeah.
Yeah, 17 or 18. And to say that Echo had a shit life may not have been doing it justice.
I think for me, the hardest parts with the wizard thing, because what it is it's Echo Brown's autobiography, but then it also has a fictional element about this little girl who finds out she's a wizard. Like this little girl in the worst circumstances you could ever imagine, just growing up poor, Black, and dark-skinned in Cleveland, Ohio. And then you also have this layer of like her finding out she's a wizard and her learning these different lessons of wizardry. So the way the book was outlined was like there was different lessons, and that lesson would kind of unfold with like different stories from her life, different life events and trauma behind these like lessons of being a wizard. Like that's how the book was structured, underneath these like wizard lessons. But first she has to find out she's a wizard. And for me, it was really hard to differentiate between fictional Echo in the book, who's a little girl finding out she's a wizard amongst all this chaos, and like Echo Brown, the author, telling her story. It was really hard for me because on one side, my brain was like, okay, this is autobiographical. And then on the other side, I'm like, really trying really hard to like lose myself in the story of this little girl who's a wizard. The wizard thing, I never 100% bought into. Like each time I kept trying to fall into the wizard thing and really fall into the narrative, in the back of my mind, I'd be like, wait, is this a metaphor? Wait, is she really a wizard? Wait, is she just a little girl trying to escape this trauma by imagining that this is happening? Wait, is this really happening in the book? Wait, what's happening? So like, it was like a mind fuck, because I kept being like, okay, is she really a wizard? Like, am I going to really fully believe and fully commit? Yes, she's a wizard. We're going on this, that she is a wizard. Or wait, is the wizardry thing really happening? Is she hallucinating? Wait, that was the hard part for me. It was really hard. And then finally I was just like, I guess she's a wizard, because it just kept going with it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's true.
Sure, what do you think? What were your reactions to this? You were the first one of us to finish
it. Okay. So originally, I think there's like a scene where the mom comes back and she like gets them McDonald's. And Echo is like, oh, she must be a wizard, right? And so that was like my first inclination. I'm like, okay, so the magic's a metaphor. It isn't really a magical book, right? But then as I kept on going and going and going, and I got deeper into the book, I was just like, okay, wait, no. You really are a wizard of some sort. But I think the problem with, and I said this in my review on Goodreads, was that more so than just the fact that magical realism really isn't my thing, it almost like brought it down to a juvenile level for me, to the point where something really traumatic would happen and I'd be about to start crying, and all of a sudden she talked about a shell and I would snort. And I'm just like, what?
It would be like, that was wizard lesson number 8. I'm sorry, what?
Like, I'm trying to
wait, being a wizard means I have to go through all these traumatic situations? What are you talking about?
I was like, I'm out, I'm good.
Also, can we just briefly go back to the McDonald's scene? Where was her stepfather?
Girl, at the bar? I don't know, because
didn't she literally go out and prostitute herself so that they could get food?
And it happens often, because when she leaves, they go to old girl's house and watch the window. I'm like,
the whole time I was like, where is her dad? Like, he's there to save them from the fire as a big nest or bird or however she imagined him. I think that's why the wizard thing was weird, because the book started when she was so young. When the book opened, she's 6 years old. And in a 6-year-old's imagination, even though they live in poverty, everything is magical to a child. You're like, oh, this looks like this. And if you're in a really messed up situation, children have a way of creating this like imagination, this false reality around them to kind of protect them from what is actually really happening. So I think that's what threw me off in the beginning with the wizard thing, because she's just going on in her little 6-year-old brain's like little 6-year-old's brain. And like, meanwhile, I'm sitting there at the beginning of the book, like, the house is on fire. Your mom is ODing. Where is your dad? Like, I'm just like, what is happening?
Oh, and then the mother's explanation for what was happening while she was on the floor.
She was like, I was in the in-between. I'm like, no, girl, no, this is not good enough. Your kids almost died in a fire. Like, girl, no.
It was so like, I felt cheated, because we all remember why I picked this book, because finally we were going to get a Black Girl Wizard book. But why is my Black Girl Wizard one of the most traumatizing books I've ever read? Like, magic for who? Wasn't no magic. That was metaphors to, like, I don't believe that they're really wizards. I believe that's a metaphor for something, because
that's what I struggled with. That's what I struggled with. I was like, I can't buy into this because it just doesn't feel authentic. And then what I also didn't appreciate is, while I'm literally like hyperventilating, wondering what the fuck is going to happen to them in this fire in the very beginning of the book, she keeps jumping to like other scenes. Like, oh, let me talk about my kindergarten teacher. Oh, let me talk about us spitting on the carpet, wishing for things. Oh, let me talk about the light-skinned boy down the street. Let me talk about almost drowning. I'm like, no, homegirl, I'm still in the apartment with you.
We've touched, well, I will say, if this was a story being told out loud, and the way that she jumps telling between two different stories, if this was some kind of illustrated thing, that would have been amazing to watch. But as I was reading it and as I was listening to it, I was like, wait, what? Wait, no. What? Jesse ain't in the house. What is this? Like, wait a minute. Are they going to die? Is this why we're in the future? Did they die?
Exactly. Like, and that kept happening throughout the entire book. Like, something monumentally devastating would be happening, and then she'd be like, but let me go to this other scene that was also pretty bad, and also this scene that was pretty bad as well. And I'm just like,
the cracks, or the scene when her mom held her dad at knife point, that kept switching between that and church. I was like, wait, I can't. These are two very different feelings I should be feeling. And
her baptism. Let's not talk about her baptism. I'm scarred.
I can't wait. I should preface this. I actually think this was a good book.
Oh, it was amazing.
I should preface, like, we should just preface that. We actually
loved this book.
I thought it was a good book.
Yes.
I just feel genuinely traumatized because of everything that happened. And it's just like, you don't know how to process it because so much happens. And like, just when you think she's catching a break, something else happens. And you're just kind of left there like, well, is this dark veil thing going to just cover her? Because it should have covered her a long time ago. But, ooh, Ted. Ted says, reminds me of Pan's Labyrinth, but not committing that the magic is metaphor to deal with childhood trauma and loss of innocence.
It's really like, I think like Brittany said, if this was a show or a film, oh my God, it would be a brilliant film. But yes. I think as a book, and she is a visual artist. Like when you read, I read an article that somebody interviewed her about the book. So I learned a little bit more. And also she is a playwright. Like, so she put up a one-woman show. So that makes plenty of sense. Like that she's coming from that type of visual arts medium, because this book does read like a play or some type of like visual arts script. Because when it's just strictly fiction, those jumping between scenes, because my brain, my literary brain, is trying to find the correlation between the two scenes that she keeps jumping. Like, you know, she would write and it would like drop down. It would be like ... or whatever it was. It would drop down and it would go straight into another scene, and then it would go back, and it kept going back and forth. So my literary brain is like, okay, what are the similarities? What are the correlations? Why are she putting these two scenes together? And I never found a reason. I never found a connection between the memories, the she would go back. I never found it. And like, it just drove me nuts. Like coming from a literary fiction writing point of view, it drove me insane. I was like, okay, I don't get it. So you're just going back and forth randomly. Like, I don't understand.
I forgot I took notes on my phone as I was reading because I didn't want to like write anything while I was like if I'm at work and I'm listening to it and I didn't want to like stop it, I would just pull out my phone. Dude, my first question on here is, what the fuck does the shell actually represent, since I know it's not real?
It made sense because she talked about how her mom, the shell thing made sense to me because it literally talked about how her mom had built this hardness and would go behind the shell. So it was like her mom would open the shell and show the softness, but it happened so rarely. And as she got older, it happened rarer. And she got older and her mom's drug abuse and mental issues got worse. Her real mom is what I took it as. Her mom, who her mom really was, the tenderness, the love, the softness, those moments got rarer and rarer because she became more hardened, more jaded, more disillusioned, more bitter. That's what I took the shell to mean, especially when she talks about a scene about how her and her little brothers also developed their own shells because they had to survive in that environment. Like the scene where they were getting she framed it as like whoopings, but they were literally being physically abused. But the scenes where they were being whooped, that to me really stands out with the whole shell thing, because it was like, okay, I have to be hard. Like, you know how like a lot of Black parents tell their kids, like, don't cry, like you need to be tough, like suck it up. Like across the board, boys and girls, I find that a lot of Black parents tell their kids this universally, like life is hard, suck it up. Don't let them see you cry, like toughen up. Like that's kind of what I got from that. So they were like, well, we had to develop our own shells to survive in this environment, and we're just going to pull them up. And that, I don't know, that was oh man, talking about it. Wow, that was really sad. But that's what I took it to mean, was just like hiding behind this hardened exterior, because you can't show who you really are. You can't show your emotions. You can't be soft. You need to be hard. You need to be tough. That's what I took it as.
Troy, any thoughts?
Oh, I'm sorry, it broke up a little bit for a second. As far as the writing style, I think my biggest beef with it was that, especially because listening to audiobook, it wasn't like I could see line breaks or anything like that. I think my biggest problem was I couldn't tell when things were real or when they were her imagination. Like, I think at one point, her friend and them, they jump her. And I was like, is this real or is she imagining this? Because it didn't make any sense the way it was written. And even when I went back to my ebook and I read it over, I was like, oh, wait, you really got jumped by these girls. Like, this wasn't like just a dream you were having during this situation. And I had to keep rewinding or rereading something because I was just like, okay, wait, did this really happen? Or are you just connecting this with some lesson to better understand your wizarding or something? And it confused me so much to the point where I was getting so tired of rereading that I would just go, okay, you know what? I'm just going to take everything at a practical level and that all these things that you're imagining actually happened. And I think that's one of the main reasons I did deduct a star from it. Like, I gave it 4 stars, but I think that was the main reason for me that I didn't give it 5, with that because I had a very hard time following what was real and what's supposed to be the fiction aspect of the book.
I definitely think that an audiobook, I couldn't have listened to an audiobook of this. I would have been confused.
The audiobook was not one of my favorites, to be honest.
I had to see it for myself because, like you said, Troy, like the way the scenes jump, like it's hard to explain it unless you have a physical copy of the book, but it literally physically shows you in the book her going into a completely different scene.
It's like dot, dot, troop, troop.
It like literally drops down physically with dots and goes into a different scene and then drops back in. And I just can only imagine if I had been listening to an audiobook, I would have been so lost. I would have been like, wait, what's happening right now? What's going on? Did I miss something? Is my audiobook like messed up? Do I need to rewind? It would have confused me. I don't think that this book translates well into just an audio format. I think that because of the stylistic choices that she made, because her writing is kind of experimental with the story, I don't think it translates well to solely audio whatsoever.
Not the way she reads it.
Again, I think it's a visual thing. Like, you have to see it to really understand it. And even then, I was not 100% sold on the whole wizard thing. Even to this, like, now that I finished the book, like, I'm still not sure. I mean, I guess she's a real wizard. Like, I suppose so, because it ran all the way through to the end. But I'm still just kind of like, huh?
Nope. I don't think she's a wizard.
Brittany is not buying it.
Literally, the next thing that I wrote, this magical realism, where, what a lie, I feel tried. Like, that's my next statement. Then I said, the magical part of this, the magical fiction actually weakened the story, is what I felt like. Because, like y'all said, anytime that it would be a traumatic event, it would be like, and that's wizard lesson number whatever. You have to do this. And it would be like this long monologue that was basically like Black perseverance. And I was like, so is being a wizard being Black? But then no, because it seems like only women can be wizards. Mm-hmm. So like, are women only wizards because of the trauma that they experience from men?
I have no idea. There was no, you know what it was? It was never fully defined. The whole wizard thing was never fully defined. And then my other issue, I think it's because I wish Echo Brown had not given her main character the name Echo. I wish she had just said, this is a fictional book based off of my life. And she had named the main character a different name. And I think that would have been easier for me, because for me, when you're telling me that this is autobiographical and I see your picture and I like automatically, I'm just thinking autobiographical. That's all I'm thinking. And so all the magical realism things, I'm automatically thinking you're using it as a metaphor for you surviving your trauma. So like this weird line that blurs between autobiographical and fiction with magical realism was really difficult for me. And I think it's because I knew it was an autobiographical piece. So that's really where my issues began. Because when I started reading the book, I was like, okay, it's about her life. This is her in the story. Yes, she should have. I wish she had named the little girl something else. And then when I was reading, I read an article where somebody interviewed her. I think it was diversereads.com or .org or something, interviewed her about the book. And they asked her specific questions. And then she said, most of the book is mostly based off of events that happened to me. So that means some things didn't really happen to her. So now I'm even more confused. So I just wish that she had, like Ted said, separated herself from the character, either just done a complete fictional book with autobiographical elements, like, oh yeah, some of this stuff like inspired by my life and what I went through. But then when I read the acknowledgments in the back, I get the feeling that this was heavily autobiographical.
No. If you listen to what I wasn't ready for was her reading her own acknowledgments at the end of the audiobook. She actually gets choked up while reading her own acknowledgments. And I was like, oh no, I'm at work. I'm at work. Wait. I was like, no. Like, oh no. If you want to talk about like, there were multiple parts in this book that almost brought me to tears, but for some reason, listening to her read her acknowledgments and like read like everything she wrote in it, and you can hear her choking on her words. I was like, oh my God, this is way more real than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know how to feel, because like I said, I thought the book was written really well. It was just that
so well. It was very experimental, and I think for the most part it worked. I just think that there are just certain things that made it not as flawless of a reading experience as I would have hoped for. And it was all because of this like blurred lines thing between fiction, nonfiction, autobiographical fiction, magical realism, like all of those blurred lines made things a little bit more frustrating of a reading experience. But the entirety of the work I thought was wonderful.
Yeah.
okay, so here's a theory. So you remember how in the book she kept saying that her mother refused to teach her anything about being a wizard, but that her mother also
wanted to be one.
That she didn't want, because, and her reason was she didn't want what happened to her to happen to Echo. But then you remember on the baptism scene when she's going home and she's like, I did everything I could to keep this from happening to you, and it happened anyway. So I'm like, again, another correlation to where being a wizard is being something traumatic happening to you. And it's like in the book heavily focused on the abuse that they experience from the men in their community specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And how whenever this kind of stuff happened, the men were never penalized. It just, the women before her who had already experienced trauma of this nature come to her rescue. And I was like, generational trauma.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. So instead of addressing it, y'all just all the women come together and tell her she's got to keep going no matter what. No one's called the cops. Everybody knows what's happened. Everybody knows, people know who did it. They're just not going to say anything. Like, what? I was like, this is why that scene, well, actually, from the baptism to her ceremony, that whole section is why I believe that she's not a real wizard. Wizard is the metaphor used for a strong Black woman or strong woman of some sort. I don't like that correlation at all, because it implies that to be strong as a woman, you have to go through hell and high waters. And I'm like, Jesus, if that's what it takes, I don't want to be a woman. Like,
I mean, you said a whole word, and I think that is a great way to open up us talking about the themes that were talked about in this book. And it just reminds me of Jesse Williams's speech when he talked about Black girl magic. And then he was just like, we're not just magic, we're real. Like, we're real people. These girls are real human beings. And this sort of narrative, especially in American history, that Black people, and specifically Black women, are superhuman and that they can take anything. You can beat them down, you can abuse them, you can work them down, you can do all these things, but they're superhuman. They have super strength. They always bounce back. They recover from anything. They're so resilient. Like this slave adjacent slavery, I don't even know the words I'm trying to think of, but it originated from slavery. But just this idea of Black women literally being indestructible. And that's why Black girls are not, nobody cares about Black girls when they disappear, when hate crimes happen, when sexual assault crimes happen to young Black girls. No one, I say nobody cares by like speaking on, the attention to it is not mean, it's why R. Kelly was able to do what he did for so long and get away with it, right? Because the level of attention and urgency is just not there. And it really like makes me think about all of those issues, because she alluded to those things in the book, because her life story is a representation of that same ideology. And I thought about that a lot while I was reading this whole Black women and Black girls are indestructible and you can just treat them any type of way. It's fine. They're going to bounce back. They're going to persevere. They're going to live through it. They're going to be raised back from the dead by other Black women, and they'll push through. Right. Literally. Not what happened. Literally.
Like, you're not, when the girls feel like they're the lowest of lows after their trauma, the women are like, we know you feel that way, but it's okay. We're going to bring you back. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
That was so powerfully like outlined in this book, because she lived through it. And so many of us Black women have lived through that or experienced portions of that, sort of people putting that idea on you, or looking at you through a lens of you being indestructible almost. Like, you know, it's the basis of so many things and so many tragedies that happen. Like, I think about how Black women are not treated well in the medical community and are not taken seriously when they're in pain or where they feel like their lives are in danger. The high fatality rate for Black pregnant women, like just so many things it draws back to for me. And to me, that was why it was so triggering, because it's like, yes, there are a lot of triggering topics in this book, but because of the underlying, or I guess overarching themes that she discusses, like it triggers something for yourself. Like, even if you haven't been through anything that Echo has been through, like, you know, just like me talking about all these different topics now, or like it'll trigger something else in you and you're like, oh, yep, been through something like that, where they thought I was just going to survive. There's been no healing, no accountability. Nobody's gone to jail.
I think that's the problem.
No therapy.
This story makes it like, this story is just like, so all these women have gone through all of these things, and the only thing that they're supposed to do is push through it. Like, there's no healing. There's no accountability. There's no, I mean, granted, yes, that does happen. And I think that's why I'm so aggravated. And like, it's not that, thankfully, what has happened to Echo's life did not happen to me. Thank God. But I still felt this sense of anger while I was reading everything that happened to her. Like, I guess we should just start talking about each thing that happened to her. Well, for what we can, because I'm not trying to trigger anybody.
Yeah, I'm trying to be vague because I don't know what's going to trigger people specifically. But I also feel like, to be fair, I also felt like the women were also kind of saying, like, in a weird way, like, this is the consequence of poverty. That's what it felt like to me, because it's like, because of their circumstances and their socioeconomic class, I almost get this sense of like helplessness in a way. And the only thing that Echo's mom gave her to hold on to was like showing her the black veil and telling her, I don't want that to happen to you, and you need to always hold on to that inner light, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because she was almost like, well, this is all I can give her. Like, we're poor, we're Black, we're women. Like, what can we do? Like, things are going to happen to us. And I did my best to protect her. It still didn't work. Like that whole line where she says, there's just no protecting Black girl children in this world. She was like, there's just no, like, I've tried and it still didn't work. So it almost seems like there's this like helplessness underlining it of like, well, all we can do is come together and resurrect each other from the things that we've survived, right? That's all we can do because of our position and where we are. We can only hold on to that inner light and literally become unlimited and be like, I'm going to somehow rise above it because that's all I can do.
But here's my question, or rather, if that is what a wizard is, why does Elena and trash Mrs. Delaney, why are they wizards?
Yeah, there was no definition of wizardry, that's why I struggled so hard with the wizard thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Like once Elena was revealed as a wizard, I was like, I'm confused.
I was like, but Elena is rich. Elena is not Black. She actually passes for white. They've made sure to mention that multiple times.
Yeah, she's white passing.
Elena is gay, and she's from a culture that may not accept her being gay. But then I'm like, are they implying that Elena has gone through something? But then they introduce, again, I really hate Mrs. Delaney. So they introduce crap Mrs. Delaney, and it's like, well, what has she gone through other than taking people's kids?
Yeah, that was never fully fleshed out. And also, the only thing that let me know that Elena had gone through any sort of serious trauma, I mean, I guess trauma is all relative, was like Echo talking about like her black veil. And I was like, okay, so I guess she's going through something really bad. Like maybe mentally, emotionally. I don't know. Nobody was going through it as much as Echo, in my opinion, but that was just
There were parts where I kept thinking that all the magic was a metaphor for schizophrenia, but I just accepted it as magic.
Oh my God. Like, is this a mental disorder that everybody has? Like,
that's how I felt, especially with her mom, because her mom showed other signs of mental illness. And so I literally thought that her mom was hallucinating things and like explaining it to Echo, like how you would explain to a little child the unexplicable. But then when Echo started doing things like stopping time, and when he started doing miracles too, I was like, well, I'm just confused. Echo can't be schizophrenic as well. Sure. She's 6 years old, 7, 8, whatever.
Let's take a pause on these quote unquote miracles.
They weren't that miraculous.
No, like what did any of the miracles actually help with anything?
No, they were mostly like stopping time so that she could. I remember when her and her mom went to visit her brother at the juvenile detention center, and she stopped time so she could try to get a message to her brother about like bettering himself. Although that felt very pointless.
Did the miracles not feel like wishes to anybody else?
You mean they felt like wishes?
Yeah, where it was like, I wish I had time to tell you everything that I feel or everything that I want you to be. I wish that you would do this. I wish that you would do that. Like, instead of calling them wishes, they kept calling them miracles, because it was like, in order for these miracles to actually happen, like you have to plant the seed, and by doing this miracle you plant the seed, but the seed has to be watered and grow. And I'm just like, so miracles is a metaphor for your dreams and aspirations?
I would say yes, except for the very first miracle that she talks about is the McDonald's one.
Oh my God, I forgot.
So
where her mom was like definitely prostituting, right? Like I that's what it was. I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, her mom got in a red car with a dude they described as a stranger and drove down the street.
That broke my heart.
She
I was like, y'all.
And McDonald's. I was like, is this how the story is starting?
And you know what really upset me? The fact that other Black lady's house that they went into, the one that hit the lottery and that had all the nice things in her house, that would like watch them and call them Bebe's kids. Why didn't she help more than that? I was like, if she really had all this money or these resources that others didn't have, first of all, why was she still there? But that's a whole nother mystery. Why didn't she help out a little bit more? Like, their mom is going out there to do some strange for some change, and you're just kind of like, oh, don't touch anything in my house. Y'all can look out the balcony and let's talk about people in the neighborhood.
And see, that part is why the magic really like was just okay. If this was just an autobiography, her being a lottery ticket winner and not wanting to help nobody, I'd be like, okay, whatever, sure. But it being magic, this is your character. You could change this character. Why was this lady, first of all, still in the ghetto with all of this supposed money and all these pretty paintings and stuff and not leaving? But also like seeing these kids who don't eat that much and don't have a lot, and their mom's prostituting and has this really terrible life, sitting next door just like, oh, I don't care. Like, what are you used to doing in the ghetto?
Exactly. So that part really tripped me up, especially because she clearly was close to them, because when they would have like their Saturday night parties where like everybody would come over and dance and talk and like then smoke crack, I guess. That was a little weird. But when they would do all those things, she was involved. And then when they would get dressed up the next day to go to church, oh my God, the hypocrisy. She was involved as well. So I was like, so clearly she's a close family friend and she's a part of their circle. So it's like, there is just so many issues. And I was like, is it that whole mentality? Is it like that prideful thing of like, you know how sometimes people who don't have as much have the most pride and they're not willing to accept handouts or help or anything like that. Was that it? But it was never explicitly outlined anywhere in the book why. It was just like, oh yeah, there's this like rich lady, but she still lives here and she's still going through the struggle. Oh, and her cup of purple juice, was it purple juice? I was like,
oh my God.
It was lean back then. This couldn't have been lean. What was she drinking? Was it Kool-Aid?
Listen,
I thought it was lean.
I assumed, like the rest of the adults, she was on some type of drug as well, because which adult doesn't? Because everybody was on something. The having the party, playing space, drinking, and then each taking turns to go to the bathroom. I was like, I'm done.
Well, especially when Echo was like, and then they would pray to the little white rocks. And I'm like, oh my dear God, why was she seeing this?
And then like, oh, the mom is like tweaking off her crack high, right? And she's just in the middle of the floor dancing, and her husband and his friends are just all gawking at her. And I'm like,
it's like when the crackhead in the neighborhood is like, you know, like driving and down the street and everybody's laughing. It's literally that, but it's in your house. And I was like, this isn't funny. Like, this isn't.
Like, and then like I realized that it's from a child's point of view. So like they probably were like making fun of her, but her daughter saw her like in a different light. And then speaking of crackhead mama.
Oh no.
The scene that broke my heart.
Oh no.
Her mom, when she flushed her mom's drugs down the toilet.
Yes.
And her mom's crackhead strength.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Speechless.
I was like, now you know. I was like, for anybody who wasn't sure if her mama was on drugs.
Now you know for a fact.
You know, her mama not only gained that crackhead strength, but she also gained that crackhead mouth and just started.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh no, Echo, run. How many times did you find yourself talking to this book?
So many.
Yo, I was on the bus transporting me from my school to Target, and I had to turn it off because I was in the bus like, yo, I am about to holler at this audiobook. I was literally losing my mind reading this, especially. What was the boy's name? Prince Mac.
Can we? I can't.
The drawing that Jessie gave her, I was like, yo, I'm done.
Foreshadowing to the max.
I'm going to preface this section.
Wait.
We're about to discuss this section.
We're not ready. No,
I'm talking about the Jessie part of that story. Are we going to put that back further? Because we talk about that part of the story.
We're not ready. We need to talk about her group of friends.
Unfortunately, that part of the story is a huge plot point of the story. But fine, we'll discuss her next thing. So
we'll do characters now.
Yeah,
let's do the friends.
Let's do the friends. So we have
Black Panther boy, Devontae.
Isn't the girl Tiffany?
Devontae
and Jessie. First of all, and her brothers. Devontae and Black Panther parents threw me off because I was like, what year is this?
The Black Panthers were null and void at this point. I was really confused.
They were making Fresh Prince references every 2 seconds.
Yes.
So I was like, Black Panther? You mean Hotep? Because that's all you're preaching right now is real Hotep.
I was like, I thought the Black Panthers pretty much disbanded.
Well, there was the new Black Panther Party that still exists even now. That is an organization that still exists, but they're also very Hotep-y. Like I know they have a chapter here in Houston. And if you ever go read their little website thing, it's like the Hotep of Hoteps. So once I started hearing their Fresh Prince references, and then he was like Black Power, and then always talking about the upliftment of Black men, but whenever she mentioned Black women, he said that they need to support their Black men. I was like, Hotep.
Yeah.
Hotep.
Seriously.
He's a baby, Hotep.
Okay, it says the party was active in the United States from 1966 until 1982.
Yeah, that's what I thought, the 80s.
The new Black Panther Party or the regular Black?
So I guess the regular. So I guess technically the parents could have been Black Panthers in the later, like in the 80s.
Yeah, because if their kids during Fresh Prince, their kids during our age, so their parents could have been old enough to be a part of that. So that's very possible.
Still carried out
they created their own
of it.
Yeah. Oh, she graduated in 2002. See, yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense.
They were old enough.
I would like to say that out of all of her friends, Devontae was okay. I really never got over what happened to Jesse.
Yo.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because I actually
never got over it.
So, I am still traumatized.
Did she see that? What happened to him in a vision? And then it actually happened?
That's the point of me saying that I could not understand which was real and which wasn't, because it actually happened to him. I was like, did she have a premonition of it happening to him? Or like what happened? Because she went home and he was definitely in the hospital.
Yeah. That part was a little confusing because it wasn't like she had that vision, but that vision of hers was like tied to something else that was going on at the time.
Tied to the neighbor who touched her.
Yes. Oh, wow.
I forgot all about that.
It was.
Because she thought that it was the man, and then when the man turned around, it was Jesse.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's true.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's why I kept asking. I was so confused by that scene because I'm like, so did she just watch Jesse get hit by that car? But then it's like, no, because the people that saw it was actually Devontae and one of her brothers.
Yeah. And then I was like, was it one of her wizard powers? But I was like, no, because her wizardry really, not to be rude, but her wizardry wasn't very powerful. Like, it's not like she couldn't really make things happen. She couldn't see the future. It was more like stopping time and like stuff that wasn't as,
I thought she was mixing the events, since when we recall things that happen at the same time and mix the details up.
Maybe.
I don't know. That was one of the scenes that's pink. That's tapped pink, is the Jesse scene.
That scene was so sad just because he had such a promising future, and for something like that to happen to him, literally because they were just playing some dumb game that they shouldn't have been playing, and actually, he was the one that got hit.
That was the most relatable. Okay, so weird thing. When we lived in Japan, we had the same Black experience as far as like Baptist churches were concerned. And it was one Saturday, we were all bored at church because our parents were having some kind of rehearsal, and the guys were playing chicken in the street. And one of the boys got hit by a car, very similar to what happened to Jesse in this book. Wow. So when I read that, I was like, "Ooh, wow, yep, that probably really did happen." Like, this is one of those scenes that I imagine really did happen to her in real life. But
yeah,
Jesse, what did I call him? Hold on. I said, I was like, oh, so Jesse can predict the future with pictures. Because
I wondered about that too.
That lighthouse. With him and Jesus. I was like,
it was weird because before Jesse's accident, there was obviously something romantic brewing between them. But more than that, they seemed to connect on a mental, emotional level. Like, they seemed to have some type of connection, like, that went beyond just whatever. And then after his accident, she almost deified him. Like, he became this godlike, despite his mental and physical incapabilities, she almost deified him. That's how it came off to me, because he was always drawing these pictures that always depicted something that was about to happen. He's always he was trying to send her these messages, trying to communicate with her.
Yes.
And it's she gave him these godlike powers in a way with that.
Yeah, because he was always with her and Jesus. And I'm like, you don't believe in Jesus one second, sis, and then the next second he's in your dreams. Like,
her relationship with Jesus and her belief system was really interesting.
I actually enjoyed that part.
It was very relatable.
Yes, it made sense. It's like your mom doesn't believe either for the very same reasons that you don't. And she never actually shared with you why she doesn't. And somehow y'all both came to the same conclusion. Like, that makes sense to me.
That scene where Jesus came and got, like, was it hot Cheetos?
Oh, yeah. And he was like,
yes.
And dabble in your shit. I'm out.
Or with the Vienna sausages.
Vienna sausages.
It was one of those where I was like, is Jesus talking to you down? Like,
that was really funny.
Is Jesus at the gas station with you? I cannot.
And didn't he allude to the fact that he doesn't really help people? Because he was like, I don't remember what he said.
He said something about how, like, he watches over us, but, like, he doesn't actually intervene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Echo's pissed because she's dreaming about Jesus and he's basically giving her excuses. So.
Which in a sense kind of correlates to Brittany's point about the magic and the metaphor of how Black men treat Black women. Because even at the very end of the book, one of the second to last scenes is them going to that preacher's thing and you know, him talking about how Black men have treated Black women over the years and all of the Black men in her family turning to her and saying sorry. And it's just like, even when things would happen to her, like what happened with the neighbor or Prince Mac or her stepfather, you know, she would go into this monologue about how Black women are supposed to protect them and all she's is pain and suffering. So I do think that the magic in a sense was supposed to be both, was supposed to be real and a source of, what's the word, like almost like a max to help them deal with all the trauma they faced at the hands of Black men. Because every Black man in her life has done something to her, whether it had been directly like Prince Mac or indirectly like her brothers.
Yeah. All right, I guess we can talk about Prince Mac now.
No, we don't. We can skip Prince Mac because we didn't touch one other Black man in this story that also hurt Echo. We missed one. Not Prince Mac. We missed one. Mr. Delaney.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. He got on my nerves.
He got on my nerves, too.
I just want to say.
What you gonna say?
Okay, so I went to a PWI engineering program. I have to preface this to explain this.
Okay.
Mr. Delaney is just about every Black male engineer that I encountered who joined a non-Divine Nine fraternity and chose to be above his circumstances. Where, like, he was too good to actually connect with her and thought that that was somehow supposed to be better than him. Like, it's like your wife keeps telling you all she wants is affection. All she wants is to know that you care. And you can't, like, I guess it was good of you to take her in, but, like, not good of you to actually want to nurture this child. Like, I guess it just looks good because, you know, you saved a broke girl. So, like, you're okay. But, like, he aggravated, like, those, every time she talked about what he did to her, I was like, she could go home and get this treatment. Like, what's the difference?
Well, what's the point?
Like, what was the point?
What was the point?
We also have to talk about Miss Delaney in a second because I have very strong feelings about everything that happened in terms of Miss Delaney. But we can now go back to the last man. We can now dip into the Prince Mac section. And I'm going to preface this for anybody who has trigger warnings, anybody who has not read this story. One of the major plot points of this story involves Echo and sexual violence. So if you do not want to engage in this part of the conversation, you could literally mute us and I'll just write a message when we're done, or I'll put a thumbs up.
I'm about to mute us. I don't want to.
Okay, I put a thumbs up when we're done with this.
Can I participate in this as well?
Oshale says she is done.
unfortunately, without this scene happening, the rest of the book wouldn't have happened. And that's what's sad because
I'm just like,
we're gonna have a very vague conversation about this because
very vague.
I found myself like, luckily, I was at home and I was doing my face wash routine while listening to this scene, and I was like screaming.
Like, wonderful for you, because I was literally walking back to my dorm in the parking lot, and I literally I was walking up the hill to my dorm, and when I get to the point, I was like, yo, I need to sit down. Like I was almost in my dorm, and I
started crying. I was just like, no. I was like, you can run, get up and go. Even right now, it's making me tear up, and I'm just like, oh no.
Okay, we got to move back a little bit. Okay, let's talk about who Prince Mac actually is.
Okay.
So Prince Mac is a character. He's like 2 or 3 years older than the rest of the cast, the rest of her friends, and he shows interest in Echo romantically. However, one of her friends, Tiffany, does tell her, stay away from him. He's not cool. At that point, I was like, okay, Tiffany beef aside, I was like, come on, girl.
I believed her in that moment. I took her seriously.
Yeah, I took her very seriously. I was like, girl, please, listen to her and
ignore
him.
What did she do? Oh, this is just her being a hater. And I was just like,
right. I was like, girl, no. Girl code, come on, no.
It was just like, oh my God. And the sad part is it took a while for the scene to actually come up. Like we knew it was going to come, but she almost made me forget that Prince Mac was even in the picture.
Other things happened in the interim. You were like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And
so maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe I can relax a little bit. Then he reappears.
Oh, because that in between the cookout and Prince Mac was Elena, and Elena had kissed her, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay, well, all right, her and Elena, and then nothing. And I was like, then the theater scene, and I was like, well, God dang it. I was like, no.
And it's like, y'all ever hear people say whenever you watch Boys in the Hood, all you want is Ricky to run faster?
Yes.
All I wanted her was to turn around. I was like, girl, just turn around. Please just turn around. Please just turn around.
It was like, don't knock on the door. Don't knock on the door.
Come on, please, girl.
Don't take the Pepsi. Don't walk up the stairs. Don't walk up the stairs. Don't sit on the bed. Don't sit on the bed. And I was like, I can't do this. I didn't read the book for 2 days after that reading.
It's
because it was
so horrific.
The crazy thing is, it's actually a short passage of the book. It doesn't take up a lot of pages.
It's very short.
But it is the most traumatic visual.
It literally brought me to my knees. I was like, I couldn't breathe. I was like, oh my God.
And what's crazy is that's why I say Echo Brown is a really good writer, because the scene wasn't graphic.
Mm-mm.
She really didn't say much of anything about what happened in just little details. But in that parking lot, oh my God, I was tearing up, and I was just like, this is actually somehow worse than me graphically reading it happen.
I had to rewatch my thing. Tears were literally just
pouring down.
Oh my gosh. And the worst part was after it happened, and he was like, you gotta go because my mom don't want girls in the house because she don't want me impregnating these little fast girls.
And then when he walks down and sees the picture of him as a kid, and I was just like, oh my God, the picture Jesse drew. I was just like, no. I was like, so then, okay, here's my question. Going back to that point, does that then mean boys can be wizards? Because why did Jesse now all of a sudden have an inkling that Prince Mac, as a child, mind you, was a bad person, to give her a clue hey?
Because Jesse went through major trauma.
But then if we're going by that, her brothers went through major trauma.
But they weren't.
That trauma didn't happen to them without cause. They created their own trauma. Her brother went to jail
But then going back, they still were abused by their father. They still had to deal with the same things, obviously not everything that Echo had to deal with, but in childhood, they still dealt with the same things.
See, that's how I keep saying, I want to know why she chose to make certain characters wizards and certain characters
and
not.
Why certain ones, what was the criteria? Because when I was reading it at first and it was just her and her mom, I thought it was something that ran in their family.
Like it was only the women in the family?
Right. So then, but then when, what's her face was outed as a wizard. What's her name?
Elena.
Elena. I was like, okay, wait, hold on. And then it just kept getting more confusing from there. But I would have loved to know what the criteria was, because she didn't even really question it either.
No.
She didn't question like, well, what makes us wizards, and like, where does this come from?
Her mom kept telling her, we're not, like, I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you become a wizard. So like we couldn't get any answers because she couldn't get any answers.
And oh my gosh, can we talk about her mom? Spoiler alert and trigger warning, murdering her mom?
Okay, yeah. I kind of wanted to, I didn't know how we were gonna bring that up, because again, that's another scene where I'm like, did that really happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Like, were you so cracked out that you killed your mother? And then when everybody was trying to save you, that's when you killed her?
I think it did happen, because the way I saw it was like she had so much done to her by it was her uncle, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I'm sure was her mom's brother.
Usually it is. Yeah.
I'm not saying that her mom knew, but I think she just snapped. Because it's definitely not a coincidence that out of all the people that were there in that room during her like moment of snapping, it was her mom that ended up being fatally killed.
I could see that, because then you could argue that, you know, your parent is supposed to be the one that takes care of you to cover you from harm, and the other two women in the room, it wasn't their job to keep her mother safe. It was April's mom's job to keep her safe. So I could see that. But go ahead.
Go ahead.
That was Oshley.
Oh, I was just saying, so that's kind of how I saw it and felt it when I was reading, of like this projection of pain, like, why couldn't you stop this? Why did you not know? And that's kind of how it read to me, because I definitely, because then of course she's like, no, I didn't mean to do that to her. But I was just like, but out of all the people that were like trying to contain you, like, ironically, this is the person that ends up fatally being gone. Interesting.
And also everyone around, all the adults also knew that she did it. Because I think, doesn't she ask her dad, like, did mom kill her mom? And he's like, oh yeah, well, everyone knows that. We just don't talk about it.
Which is the theme of everything that traumatically happens in that place. We just don't talk about it.
And it was alluded to that, like, her being accidentally killing her mom, and then what her uncle did to her for so long combined is what made her snap and turn to drugs, but also like what was the basis of her mental health issues.
Well, remember, she said at that point she had felt so low that was when the veil had completely consumed her, and she started doing drugs to quiet the veil, because the veil talks back to you. So, like, I'm guessing that's when her depression, and I'm guessing that's when because the veil talks back to everybody, but I'm guessing that's when the severe mental issues also started creeping in at the same time. And because she doesn't have the ability to get proper help, the only thing that turned him off were drugs.
Yeah. Because she also talks about, like, while she was going through what she was going through in that house, she would disassociate. She would literally float up to the ceiling and completely disassociate. And there's something about that in psychology. Like, once you're able to do that, like you can't, it's like this weird thing in your brain. Like, once you're able to disassociate to that level, it's really hard to like bring everything back together.
Which is why they were so adamant to save Echo while they could, because she had started doing the very same thing.
Yes. Whew.
When she was in bed for like, what was it, 2 weeks?
Yes.
2 weeks.
Yes. But here's another thing. I will say, though there was trauma, and though it's basically focusing on Black women trauma, I will say what I found oddly very just therapeutic in a way was how quickly, like, it was like, okay, the mom's too cracked out to really see what's going on. But there are other women in the neighborhood who see her mother and still try to give her mother chances.
Right.
So when the super holy Christian woman walks in and sees her, it's no longer a game. It's, we've got to save this child. Like, we are all going to save this child. Go get the oldest woman in our neighborhood, and we are all going to save this child.
Yeah.
Obviously, that came into a ceremony, but then, like, when you think about what that ceremony actually means,
right?
Like, that ceremony was insane to me. Reading it,
it was
not because it was like witchcraft or something. It was just like she was literally planting her own seeds to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the women could not help her do it. They were just younger. There were versions of herself inside herself telling her to keep going.
Yeah.
And when she finished, there were women to greet her and comfort her to help her get started again.
Yes.
So it was like, I hate the fact that they have to come together for trauma, but at the same time, at a minimum, at least there was that.
To me, it felt very tribal.
Yes.
And very reminiscent of like some African healing rituals.
Yes. I mean, I swear I feel like I need to actually start like studying more African things, because I've been reading a lot more books with Black people in it, and I've been noticing a lot of correlations, and I'm like, I just wish I knew more so I can really appreciate these ceremonies that she's talking about, because they sound powerful, and I want to know more. And even if this is a fake ceremony, I'm sure she took it from something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, let me think. Oh, so now we can talk about after Prince Mac.
Okay.
So after Prince Mac is high school. They're the nerd group. And that introduces, what is the name of the flamboyant gay Asian?
Hold
on.
Yeah, I did audiobooks. I don't remember.
Hold on. Where is it?
Ben?
Ben? Was that his name?
It's sad that I don't remember his name.
Me neither. Jen. J-I-N.
That's what I thought. Jen. Yeah.
Jen. Okay. So wait, it introduces Jen. It introduces Alexis. Actually, those are the only two of the friend circle that actually had like major plot points other than Devontae, because Tiffany was still there, but she wasn't a part of the Tarbor Six, and then it was Devontae that was in the Six, and Jen. I loved Jen.
Yeah.
But
his character was a lot of fun.
Though he said he was not a caricature, did he not read off as one?
He did.
Yeah.
Like the flamboyant, like.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. I mean, there are. He totally could have acted like that, but to specifically have him go into this whole thing about not being a caricature and then reading off as a character, I found that to be humorous. I was like, I don't know if she did this on purpose or what, but I just find that a little bit ironic, because I'm like, oh, all right.
That's how you're coming off, but okay.
Yeah. I was like, I don't, okay, all right. Well, you're acting exactly how I imagined you to act if we were going to do a caricature, but okay. Cool beans. Alexis. Who do you think was a worse friend, Alexis or Tiffany?
Ooh.
I don't know, because on one hand, Tiffany got her ass whooped, and then on the other hand, Alexis asked her to not be valedictorian. It was a lot.
I think Alexis, definitely.
Why?
Definitely.
When Tiffany and her friends actually physically assaulted Echo, why is Alexis looked at more like the evil one, like more terrible?
I feel like Tiffany and her had their differences. I don't know. But Tiffany did have her good moments. You know what it is? Her and Tiffany always had this weird underlying sense of like sisterhood despite all the shit that had gone down.
Yes.
I feel like if Echo ever really needed Tiffany, Tiffany would be there. And vice versa.
I don't know. I just couldn't get over someone getting me jumped. I don't think I could have gotten over that.
Novelist says Tiffany, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually torn between this one because I wrote it as a question to my phone.
Because what Alexis did in retrospect, it really wasn't that big of a deal because she could just be like, "Girl, you crazy," and move on. But Tiffany actually jumped her.
I know.
Harassed her for weeks.
Yes, I know.
Followed her home and harassed her for weeks.
I know. But
and then in retrospect, it wasn't even like that didn't start it. Like she was a hater even before Jesse's accident. Like it was she was always a hater.
Yes.
That's true. That's very true. From day one, she like disliked Echo and Echo's connection with Jesse and just I think she was jealous of Echo in a weird way, even though they were all in shitty circumstances, because at least Echo didn't have to be like the primary caregiver of her brothers, like Tiffany had to be the primary caregiver of hers.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to have to agree with Novelist here. Like, I think
same.
Because this is the epitome of what happens when you put too much pressure on your child.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Because for somebody to tell you, can you fail your next test so we can be co-valedictorians?
Like, no.
What?
No, I'm not going to.
I would just say, sis, get out of my face and move on.
I would have literally.
But you can't really tell. But you can't tell nobody to get out of my face when they jumping you. Like that's something totally different. Like,
Troy's like, but to be clear, she didn't jump her, so she's not mad.
But you still don't think that. I don't know.
The only nice thing Tiffany ever did was tell her about Prince Mac, and it was null and void because Tiffany was already a hater. So why would she think, oh, she's being so nice to me? No, you're a hater.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's like Tiffany. It's like Tiffany. You can tell Tiffany was going through things, but she processed that by harassing
and by taking it out on Echo. Yes. Unnecessarily, all because Echo was like advancing and doing well in life, and Tiffany wasn't at that same place, and she was jealous.
Yes, that's literally what it was, and it's just like Tiffany, Echo's been nothing but nice to you. Nothing.
Yeah, she's trying to be nice to you.
Tried. I mean, when she finally got tired of you harassing her and she pushed you, you don't think you deserve that?
She 100% deserved it.
She should have smacked you. I feel like if I was in Echo's position and I was over the girl harassing me and she had her homegirls, I knew I'd be getting jumped, so I'm going straight for her face.
What's there to lose?
I'm not running down the street after I hit you. I'm going in. Like it. No, we're not doing this. Like,
and Echo still had so much grace for Tiffany after that. She was like, we're supposed to be sisters. Like, we grew up together. Like, why are you doing this? That was sad.
She's such a nice person.
She really
is. And I think that's why it broke my heart so much whenever stuff happened to her, because she really genuinely tried to have that upbeat spirit. Oh my gosh, I just read what Novelist wrote above. She said, most of these scenes remind me of voodoo rituals that I know some of my family members participate in, and in my Haitian Pentecostal church when they're doing an exorcist, which was a bit unnerving. So I've never heard or seen an exorcism, but I'm kind of intrigued now if that's what the ceremonies were representing.
Right.
Because, wow. Oh, Ted, you bring up a very good question. I wonder how the real Tiffany will react to reading this in retrospective.
If she exists and she's not a fictional representation.
Right. We don't know what part of this story is considered fiction and which part did she create characters to fit to round the story out more. We don't know.
We don't know.
At least she's not on Phaedra Park's level.
Oh God.
Okay, we have one more character to discuss.
Oh,
and her name is Mrs. Delaney.
I knew you were gonna circle back to her.
So I'm gonna let somebody else. Okay, first I'll ask the first question. What did we like about Mrs. Delaney? Because if you listen to the acknowledgments, Echo really loved her Mrs. Delaney. So let's talk about Mrs. Delaney from two perspectives. Positives. Let's do the positives first.
Okay. She was a really good teacher. I will say that she 100% was behind anything her students did or what they believed in. She didn't, when what was his name? Jen went up there and did his little poem. She didn't try to retract him from doing anything, or Echo or anybody. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oshley, you more good?
Yeah, I mean, she was the kind of, oh, sorry, my dog. She was the kind of teacher that encouraged, I mean, everything Troy said, that encouraged her students to grow and things like that. She never really held them back. And I can definitely see why Echo has love for her, because she is that type of like inspirational teacher that pushes you to be your best and all that other type of bullshit.
In the classroom, she reminded me of I have 3 teachers from high school that I remember vividly. That's Mrs. Haygood, Mrs. Lee, and Mr. Rainwalt. All 3 of those teachers were extremely fantastic teachers that molded some part of me that I do today. I can see that being a Mrs. Delaney all the time. I will never take that away from her.
No. However,
Mrs. Delaney stepped all the way the F out of line.
However,
I have a problem when there is a minority character.
I'm so glad you said it, because I wanted to, but I didn't.
And there's always and it's predominantly white, where they feel like they're saving us.
Yep, white savior
from this deep depth of poverty and isolation and just being Black. And it really rubbed me the wrong way.
Everything I wrote about Mrs. Delaney.
Please go, Brittany. Please go.
Would you like to read it for the class?
Let me get comfortable.
I had to lean back for this one.
Okay. I need to go get some more food.
I literally wrote, what is the name of the movie where Sandra Bullock rescues the Black boy and now he becomes secure?
Didn't we already talk about this? The Blind Side?
In the group chat.
We already discussed it.
I was like, this is the Wizard Blind Side.
Hate that movie. I
hate
that movie with a passion. It makes me so uncomfortable.
It's a true story. Like, I need the prefaces. I'm not saying that her wanting to help Echo is bad. I'm saying to go and ask a minor who has no legal rights about where she lives and what she does with her life, to drop her life and come stay with you, not question when she pops at your door with a bag. You don't question it. There's no legal work that has to be done.
Right.
This little girl just disappeared from her home. You basically kidnapped this little girl. That is a kidnapping. You didn't ask her parents. She got 2 of them. You ain't ask them. They weren't good enough to ask. I know you're going through some things. Why do you know this? Why didn't you call CPS then if you knew it was going on? But you didn't. You just wanted to have that trophy.
Ooh, Brittany going in.
Like, what? I was like, so wait, we didn't ask no parents. You said you are aware of the stuff happening in her life. You feel like she has to have a place where she can learn some things before she becomes an adult. You can teach her in school. After school programs don't exist. You felt like you had to literally take her from her home and put her in your house because that was the only place that she could learn how to be a freaking adult.
Ooh.
In your house. But
go off, Brittany.
You about that for days. You couldn't talk to her because you were thinking about that for days. You went to talk to her mama while you was thinking about that for days. Like, what? Oh my God, I was irate. I was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. I was hot. I was like, let me get this straight. Echo read a poem. You stopped talking had time to talk to your husband because saving this little black girl would definitely appeal to his senses. But nobody could say, let's talk to her parents. If she's going through such a hard time that you claim she was going through, why did you not notify CPS? Because you're also very aware she's got 2 little brothers. And you also knew that she was the one putting money into that house for her 2 little brothers. So if you cared so much, but you didn't care, it just makes you look like a hero.
Wow.
Like, again, I was pissed. I was like, so are we kidnapping? Like,
it's one of those things that's so tricky because you can clearly tell by the way that this is written and by the acknowledgments and everything.
Yeah, it impacted her greatly.
Yes.
And I will take that away from her because I do feel like you need, like, if you're going, like, to have that kind of a teacher in your life is monumental.
It is.
Yes. Thank you, Curls. I was trying to think of a way to put it. She only took the best black student. Devontae lived in her neighborhood and was in the Tarver 6.
There you go.
Like,
it's like that weird, it kind of reminds me of like the stories of like the Caucasian families that adopt like the black children. And then later on you find out that they were like abusing them or like using them as like labor or something.
She didn't get physically abused in that house, but she was mentally abused in that house.
Right. It always gives you like an unsettling feeling because there's always this question in the back of your mind of like, what are your motives? What are your true motives here? Is it, like you said, like that whole savior complex? And then like, why didn't you go through the proper channels and make sure this was legal, speak with her actual parents? And then it's like a weird duality because on one hand, nobody can take away the positive impact it had on her life. But on the other hand, you can't help but question the motives of somebody that would do this and would do this in this particular way by overstepping so many boundaries and discounting out the parents and not seeking the proper legal channels and things like that. And also the level of, this was for me, this is what I felt, the level of entitlement and privilege that you walk out and express by just being like, well, you can just come stay with me and your life, everything's gonna be better now. And like that was like, wow, how much privilege are you displaying right now, and entitlement and in behaving in this manner and walking it out in this manner?
The best intentions
I don't know, I can't see y'all.
The best intentions are destroyed when they're dripped in privilege. Like that's just what it is. Yeah, we can still see you.
I can't see you.
What?
Oh.
This thing, yeah.
Let me see what it looks like on YouTube. Nah, YouTube, you're still seen too.
I can see all 3 of y'all. I mean, yeah, all 3 of y'all.
So weird. Okay.
It's like had Echo at home situations. Like nothing in the book implied that she wouldn't have been able to do the things that she was doing at home. There was nothing. The only thing I think was the fact, Oshley is now gone.
Oh, so no.
Maybe her thing really was acting up. Well,
right.
Oshley is coming back. We'll continue. Novelist, I forgot. You remember that part of the book where she talked about how she wanted kids, but her husband didn't?
Yes.
That argument. Oh, wait. Okay, wait. So I wrote something in my notes on that section.
You have more notes.
Man, look. That whole
I told you in the group chat. I was like, Brittany is gonna have a lot to say.
I was like, oh no. I was like, this is what we won't do. Like, what? Like, this is my notes, and it just kind of goes like I've had so many things with Delaney. But I wrote, remember how when Echo started talking about Mr. Delaney, she was like, I don't know how to take Mr. Delaney. Like, I only know how to relate to broken Black men. And it was like, great. When I read it, I was like, well, all right. Oshley's back.
Oh, really?
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
We don't know either, girl.
Like, I couldn't see y'all, and then I couldn't see myself.
No, you just disappeared.
Yeah, randomly in the middle of us talking.
Yeah. I could hear what you were saying though, because I had the live unmuted.
Oh, okay.
No, but yeah. So you remember that scene where Echo was like, I
She
can't
doesn't
really
know how to relate to him.
because I only relate to broken black men. But then you realize that Mr. Delaney himself was actually a broken black man.
Yes. Hidden very well.
Hidden underneath mask. Or
yes.
Honestly, Mr. Delaney had shells.
Yes. And like that sense of like, well, I've made it and like I'm doing well for myself and like
the pick up by the bootstraps type mentality that Republicans try to spew on us.
Right.
How you feel about Mr. Delaney, Ursula?
Wow, what a dumpster fire. Basura.
Literally.
Like it got to a point where I was just like, this girl cannot catch a break. Wherever she goes, there's gonna be some male figure that is like literally only there to make her life worse. Like, how is this okay? How is this okay? At that point, I was just over it. I was like, I'm so over this bullshit.
Man, YouTube really has been jacking up my notifications because I got a message from somebody else the other day saying that they don't get notifications for my channel.
I'm not shocked.
Hit that notification button. I mean, it's going on Troy's channel, but we'll talk about that in a second. Novelist said I would have called CPS on Mrs. D thinking she was trying to human traffic Echo from the outside looking in. But honestly, the way that Mrs. Delaney did it, the way that it was so underneath the table and so backhanded.
And she didn't think it was weird that she showed up on her doorstep randomly at night.
Yeah.
Like, the very night that she had the conversation and she told her that it would probably be like a week or two and then she just pops up.
Yeah, no.
Come on.
No.
Oh.
I was still triggered by Devontae, the baby hotel.
Annoyed the shit out of me.
He annoyed me so bad.
Okay, and then he just got worse.
So when Echo after the Prince Mac thing, and she kept saying how like she liked Devontae, but like she couldn't get past the fact that Devontae never recognized the plight of the black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this one line. I don't know if they were at the revival thing already or if not, but she was talking about how black men don't understand what black women go through. Like they don't get raped, they don't get this, and I was just kind of like, wow, like by this time, Echo's like 16 or 17, and she's so jaded in her community that like the stuff that they go through, she doesn't even count it as things. Like she just she counts them as the enemy. She sees them nothing more than broken and cause her pain.
Wow, that's so sad when you put it like that.
Wow. Well, that church scene when they started all apologizing, and then when they graduated and they're at the tree, and Devontae like personally apologized to her, and I was just like,
"Girl,
this step is changing."
Yeah, I was like, maybe. I was like, wow, this was a huge step in the right direction.
Right. I was not. Well, again, because a lot of issues in the Black community are, like there's a lot of generational trauma in the Black community where the idea of strong implies that you cannot be emotional and that you cannot be vulnerable, especially with Black men.
Mm-hmm.
So that scene where the pastor quoted Malcolm X saying that the most persecuted person in America is the Black woman, and then to have these grown men like look at the women next to them and acknowledge their crap. Like, I mean, granted, there are some dudes that probably baby boyed it and like meant nothing when they apologized. But I really felt that
one thing I did want to talk about, which novelist Deanne brought up with Jesse being made fun of by Devontae for his biracialness, was just like the colorism that was touched on.
Well, Echo referring to herself as a dark-skinned beast.
The self-hate that took my breath away. I literally hurt so bad for her. She was like, I'm glad he likes me now before he realizes that I'm a beast, that I'm ugly. And I was like, I read
that scene around the same time I saw that clip on the shade
About the
room
little girl?
and I was like, this is too much.
Like, what are the odds? Because it really did remind me of that viral video of that little girl who looks at her reflection while getting her hair done and just says, declares herself ugly. And like the hairdresser is so freaking shocked that a 4-year-old would have that opinion of herself.
With
a
clarity.
4-year-old.
With clarity.
I don't even think I had any idea of physical beauty at 4.
I
was
looked at
still
people and thought they were all gross and not good as me because I could build things and they couldn't. Like, it was nothing on a physical level. I was a weird child as well.
Not at 4.
At 4, you're like skipping through recess and like worried about like how cute your lunchbox is. Like when I was 4, I just wanted the Barbie lunchbox. Every little girl wanted to, like, it was this very exclusive lunchbox because like Barbie items were really hard to get in Nigeria in my town. And I wanted this very specific lunchbox. That's literally all I remember from being 4.
Oh, my Sailor Moon lunchbox with the Sailor Moon thermos was my entire life until like 1st grade. Like, it's like to read her refer to herself as a beast because of her skin color was just like, I think about, well, again, she had very bad male influences in her life.
Yeah, she did.
But like my daddy is super dark, like actually has a really gorgeous undertone that comes out the darker he gets. And I've been obsessed with my dad's skin for forever. But one thing that I can also say is my dad made it a point when I was very young to give me affirmations. Obviously, he realized what he was doing. But like, just think about the fact that she's never had, and I'm not saying that only men can do this, but the validation that she was seeking was from men.
Yes.
So if she had men in her life that empowered her and didn't make her feel so down all the time, like, don't think that she would have concluded that she was a beast.
That was so hurtful. I was like, oh my God, she's a baby. Like, why would she think this about herself? And it was so interesting to me because the way that it kind of was framed was through this lens of like, well, she is constantly bombarded with these ideas and these images that the closer to whiteness you are, the better, the whole colorism thing. And it was so interesting to me because it actually made me take a step back and think about my childhood. And like, even in Africa, even in Nigeria, we were also inundated, believe it or not, by white images. Like I said, I really wanted that Barbie lunchbox. It wasn't like the black Barbie. It was literally the white, blonde hair, blue-eyed Barbie. And we were
lunchboxes back
it wasn't
then.
even a thing. And we were inundated with white images even there in Nigeria. But at the same time, I never had this negative sense of self-worth. And I think it's because the men in my life were affirming and were loving towards me. And also, like, Nigeria is obviously a predominantly Black nation. Like, everywhere you look, it's Black people. So even if you're getting these media images of whiteness, you're still surrounded by Blackness at the same time. So that probably helped too. But it just made me think. I was like, that's so wild. Like, she really doesn't think much of herself.
Not at all. I mean,
and that didn't change.
And it did not. Saw the way people treated Jessie, and then she saw the way people treated the rest of them, and she was like, okay, I want to be like that, because that means.
But she would be like, all the girls like Jessie because, you know, he looks mixed and, you know, he could look Mexican, but Jessie likes me, and I don't know why he likes me because I'm a beast. And it'd just be like,
that's so sad.
I was like, oh my God, sis, that means you're. And then Devontae literally said he thinks you're beautiful, and you just brushed it right off like he never even gave you the compliment in the first. Granted, Devontae was a complex character because he was trying to figure out life without being, like, he was literally raised as a hotep. So he has to find his own way as well. But he would actually straight give her compliments, and she would be like, boop.
Yeah, she didn't believe him.
Yeah.
Like, that man just said you were beautiful.
That was fascinating to me. Just like her sense of self-worth was so low. And like, I mean, the things that happened to her after that very early moment and the life events following certainly couldn't have helped to like help her self-esteem, but it was just sad. I was like, oh my God.
I was just like, this book was about Black trauma or Black women trauma, but it also, in a way, showed the importance of the Black man's position to Black women, like how much power they have when it comes to like our lives, because your brothers, your fathers, your uncles, like these are men in your life. These are your first real encounters with men.
Right.
And that is an impactful thing, and all of hers were trash. So it's just like,
yeah.
Who is Chrissy? Chrissy on YouTube made a good video on the little girl's viral video.
She has an amazing channel. I highly recommend it. She talks about colorism.
Yeah. Also, this is gonna sound terrible, but like that little girl in that viral video, I also blame Echo's parents for not breathing life into children. Because
the hairdresser said she comes from an amazing family and like her parents are very loving and uplift her. I think that it comes from society. It probably goes to school and people say things.
But like our generation, like you remember when you used to come home from school and your parents would be like, "How are you doing? How was your day? What did you do today?"
Yeah.
We don't, our generation, because we are the generation that's having children. Our generation does not do that.
They don't?
Most don't.
That's troubling.
Yeah, so it's like, I hope that her parents saw this and decided that they had to change their whole engagement round. Like,
yeah.
And then also, I hope her mama went to that school and set it off. Like,
okay.
Like, I hope her mama saw that.
Y'all ain't about to do my baby like this.
My baby. Like, I hope her parents went to that school and set it off, because there's no way she would say that with so much conviction. If somebody
has been telling her that every day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I hope her mama saw that and set that school not on fire, because this is live. But I hope her mama set it off at that school.
Let's not encourage arson.
Yeah.
Please let's not.
I think Devontae was jealous of Jesse. Yeah, he was super jealous of Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially that was what, early 90s? Where we crack light-skinned jokes all the time. Why? Because the light-skinned dudes were the ones getting the most attention. I mean, that's kind of been shifting now that we're older, but especially back then. But like I said, I wish that we would have gotten more Jesse before the accident.
Me too. I really like the character a lot.
What is the baby test?
What happened?
I have, it says, novelist says, reminds me of the baby test. What is the baby test?
What's that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm waiting. I know she's typing, so I can't wait to see what this is. Also, you know what I forgot to wear, guys?
What?
After we finish this, I have to show you what I forgot to wear for this live.
Oh, I think I know.
Oh, I think I know too.
I totally forgot. I've been packing all day, so I didn't want to do it.
So, are we done talking about the book?
Does anybody have any
doll test? Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes.
The black baby doll and the white baby doll, and they tell the kids which one is ugly, no pretty, or good, or evil. Those tests were
Those tests were sad and disappointing.
Also, the black baby dolls they pick aren't cute.
Honestly,
they always pick the ugly ones that you can buy. You're right. They are the ugly ones.
The white baby dolls aren't that much cuter either, but I'm like, come on now, y'all.
They almost scary looking.
They look scary.
They are scary looking. Like, get the cute ones, because
cute ones, please, and get the ones that actually look like real people.
Yeah, the ones where they look like Chucky doll's cousin. Like, I don't want that black, white, or red. Like, the doll is ugly. Give me a cute doll. Give me the Cabbage Patch Babies.
Yes.
Like, why couldn't this test be done with Cabbage Patch dolls? They literally all look the same. Their skin color is just different. Exactly. That would have been a very good test to use. But instead, they find the dollar store or the Ross ones, and they're just
the Ross ones.
Not Ross.
Hideous thing. Okay, so does anybody have any final thoughts on the book? Like I said, I actually really liked the book.
I did too.
I gave it 5 stars.
I would have given it 5, but like I said, I felt like the magical elements of the story took me out of the moments.
Same.
Yeah.
So that's why I did not get a 5, but I gave it like a 4. If Goodreads would let us do half stars, I would have given it a 4.5. But
so round of applause. That is the end of quarter 1. Black Girl Unlimited. Thank you for everything, Brittany. We are now moving on to quarter 2.
I think I have mine.
I don't have it yet because I don't have space to buy it yet.
It's okay. This is Troy's quarter. So all the lives. So you hear it here first. All the lives will be done on Troy's channel, which she never talks about, but it's fine. The book is.
I introduced myself in the beginning.
So if you're not following Troy, you need to go follow her.
Yeah.
We'll be posting. So it's always the 3rd Sunday of every month, unless we announce it otherwise. Follow us on our social medias in case we ever change the date. But so far, we've been doing pretty good at the 3rd Sunday of every month. And that's actually been working out very well for my schedule too.
It has.
Same.
So we'll be doing
quarter 2s.
What's the quarter 2 month 1? So that's April. April's discussion is that's just BookTube news and BookTube.
So that's to be announced. And then we've already secured our special guest for May. So stay tuned. And then stay tuned. We're very excited about this one. And then in June, we will be wrapping up The Worst Best Man. This is our romantic comedy pick of the year.
Say the title again and the author.
The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa.
There we go.
And do you want to read the synopsis or should I?
Oh my God. You can read it. I don't know what I just did with my book.
Yeah, but I think you're the only one with the book right now. Oh, should I see
okay.
I kind of chunked mine.
You are cordially invited to witness the worst best man get what he deserves. A wedding planner left at the altar? Yeah, the irony isn't lost on Carolina Santos either. But despite that embarrassing blip from her past, sorry, my dogs, Lena's offered an opportunity that could change her life. There's just one hitch. She has to collaborate with the best, make that the worst man from her own failed nuptials. Marketing expert Max Hartley is determined to make his mark with a coveted hotel client looking to expand its brand. But then he learns he'll be working with his brother's whip-smart, stunning, absolutely off-limits ex-fiance, and she loathes him. If they can nail their representation, or excuse me, wow, Freudian slip, if they can nail their presentation without killing each other, they'll both come out ahead. Except Max has been public enemy number 1 ever since he encouraged his brother to jilt the bride, and Lena's ready to dish out a little payback of her own. Soon, Lena and Max discover animosity may not only be the only emotion creating sparks between them. Still, this star-crossed couple can never be more than temporary playmates because Lena isn't interested in falling in love, and Max refuses to play a runner-up to his brother ever again. So there you go. Very romantic comedy-like.
Brittany just looks so happy over there.
I'm trying to figure out, is Carolina Santos Hispanic, a Black Hispanic woman, or?
Yeah, she's Afro-Latina.
Okay, cool. Just trying to figure out. Very exciting. I'm excited.
Brittany's just so excited. I needed to relax after her read.
Okay,
so
to be fair, when I picked a Black Girl Unlimited, you could even go back and watch the live. All I said was, Black Girl Unlimited, I'm so excited. No idea that we were about to be metaphorically effed, okay? No clue. I will happily read this romantic comedy.
I feel like this is going to be a very, very quick read.
I think so too.
Ooh,
so I think I'm going to save this till literally the last minute.
Did you do that already for the last one?
I did. Exit live. Please studio.
Okay. I have nothing. I was about to say another important thing.
Wow.
Please, everyone, mark your calendars because 2 major things are happening. Number 1, May 10th through May 17th. It's Throwback-a-thon!
Yay! I'm so excited for it this year. Oh my God, I'm so ready.
This year? Or should we wait?
We should wait. I think we should have our Throwback-a-thon announcement live in April.
Works for us. We might have 2 lives in April, guys, just so you know. Or it might be we cut the BookTube news down and then go right into our Throwback-a-thon stuff. But we decided to do it in May this year. So we're very excited. We have a theme because we're nerds.
It's so good.
I'm so excited.
So good. Yes.
It's going to be so great. Hopefully by then my library will be finished so I can film all the videos I need to film in the library.
I really need you to do a library tour. Like, I'm really
back.
It's obviously going to happen, but I won't have any books on the shelf because I've gotten rid of a lot of things. 2, on this fun day. If you haven't, Monster Smut, because Monster Smut. I don't know why, but every time I wear this shirt, it makes me smile.
I just want to wear it out in public. Just one time.
I wore it to Walmart to go try to find some groceries because, we're in the struggle bus period. And this guy walks up to me and he's like, Monster Smut? Like, so romance with monsters? I was like, all day.
Yeah.
Hey, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to wear it in my super conservative town.
So I have to remember to put the link back down in the thing. But if you go to Teespring and you search Melanin Eclectic, like my shop will come up and it's got something in there for something else that I did for something else, and then it has the Monster Smut. So if you don't want to, miss this opportunity, because I just don't know how long we're going to keep that on there. Like, I think we might have to come up with something. I think that might be our quarter 1 shirt. And I think we're probably going to end up with something hilarious for quarter 2. And I think that that's going to become a shirt for quarter 2. So you never know. Swipe it while
Maybe we should do like a Throwback-a-thon shirt.
Yes, I agree with you. And I'm already working on some ideas that I was going to show you guys after this move, because we need Throwback-a-thon shirts. Because at this point, I'm addicted to making shirts. And so any excuse I have to make a shirt, I'm down. Let's see. What are you guys currently reading right now?
Oh, hold on. It's on my, I bought a paperweight paperwhite Kindle, and I am waiting for it to get to me because I am tired of using my phone.
Yeah, I'm going to get one. I was using my iPad and just using the Kindle app because I didn't want to buy another Kindle, but
this is what I'm reading. Oshale would be super happy. It's not staying up.
Oh, God.
Oh, my nephew's here, so it's about to get loud. My nephew's about to bust open the door.
That's the planet.
How do you feel? What are your thoughts?
I don't have thoughts right now.
Barbarian? Is that what we're doing?
That was my recommendation. What do you mean you don't have thoughts right now? Are you shocked? Are you happy? Are you?
I'm 25% in, and I'm still trying to process things.
Novelists, we're definitely gonna have a book club shirt. We're working on our rebrand. We'll be sharing our rebrand soon. We're just in the process of it still. So once we get our rebrand done, then we'll have specific book club shirts. But I cannot believe you're reading an Oshale Monster Smut pick.
I'm so excited. Brittany, you gotta join.
Look, so what is it? We're doing this book in May. So this is where it's complicated. April, May, June. No, we're doing the book in June. So I'm gonna make June my romance month, where I agree to read nothing but romance for that month. And I'm supposed to do like reading vlogs while I read it. I remember I made a deal with y'all like January. I didn't forget. It's just that I knew at one point in one of these quarters we were going to be reading romance. So I figured instead of having to do multiple months where I'm reading romance, that I could just do one. And then, granted, we don't know what Oshale's going to do yet, but I'm going to do it like that.
Oshale's going to pick something we all hate.
Probably. I don't do it intentionally, though. I don't do it.
You know what book is actually really enjoyable right now? And
What?
I'm not doing this because I got it sent to me. Like, I'm actually listening to it right now.
Oh.
Yeah. I haven't started it yet.
It starts with A. Marie, who I didn't know wrote short stories. But
Nice.
if Marie decides that she wants to jump into the Black speculative book
She's
world,
writing a book right now.
I am interested. After reading her short story in this, I'm interested in reading more A. Marie.
Yeah, she's been writing a book for like a couple years.
I'm thoroughly interested. Like, send it to me, basically. I'm genuinely shocked. I was immediately like, "Hey, Marie, what? No." And then after I was like, "Hey, Marie, okay, all right." I'm on, let me see.
Nice.
I'm on the fourth story, I think. So the fourth story is The Rules of the Land, I think is what I'm on. Yeah. So the first one is by A. Marie. The second one is Elizabeth Acevedo, which obviously I'm hella biased and I loved it. And then the third one was Rebecca Roanhorse. That wasn't my favorite, but I'm intrigued by more of her writing as well. But yeah, so far I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But I like the other one too. Like all of the ones where it's just a bunch of them writing short stories. I'm really enjoying the fact that they seem to be coming out with some kind of thing like this every year. So I'm thoroughly convinced. Novelist says, I really want to read The N-Word from Race to Redemption #1, which is a romance novel. I read the sample. I'm currently reading a lot of things, but my top is House of Earth and Blood. Oh, is anybody reading the Crescent City book? Is it boring? Because I saw tweets.
I'm about to start it. Here's what I think. I can't speak to if it's boring or not, but I think that people have such high expectations. And so they get really so I'm kind of excited because I have no expectations as of right now, and I plan on reading it next week, or I guess this week that's about to start. So I have literally no expectations. I haven't read any reviews. I haven't read nothing but the dust jacket, and that's how I plan on going into it.
Well,
I
think that's my first Sarah J. Maas book, so like I have zero expectations.
Same.
I'll let y'all know when I actually get a chance to read it, though, because I think I'm number 8 on the library list for that book.
My library is always 50 people deep, so don't expect me to read it no time soon.
It's 8, like I'm number 8, but they haven't even gotten the book to the library yet. Like it's still on order. So who knows when I'm actually going to get it. That's just not one of the books where I was like, I have to have it. Now, this N.K. Jemisin book that's coming out.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so hyped.
I'm just going to go to Barnes & Nobles. I don't have time to wait for the library on that one. Because
I pre-ordered it.
Well, I canceled all of my pre-orders because they wouldn't let me change the address on them.
What? Oh yeah, they don't do that.
Yeah, because I forgot that I'm moving before this book comes out, and I was like, I don't want.
Oh no.
I don't want anything to happen to it where, like, the post office sees that I changed my address, but like it still gets delivered. I don't want to run the risk, so I canceled all of my pre-orders, and I just haven't had the chance to go back and set up my pre-orders.
Right.
The struggle bus is real. Plus, at the end of this month, the end of the Shadow of the Fox series comes out, and I'm so excited.
Is that the one with the Asian fantasy?
Yep. Very excited.
That's what I thought. So I like the cover.
And the cover is so beautiful. It's a purple cover this time, so y'all know I'm set. Like, hold on, let me show you. It's
very beautiful covers.
And the covers also have foiling on them too. So they always come out stunning. And I'm like, I got the first book, but I never bought the second book, and I need to do the second book because I need the whole collection before they change the covers. Because they are very good at giving us crap and then being like, oops, we changed
They always be changing the covers like mid. Ooh.
So like all the gold is actually gold foiling, and
Oh,
then
that's so
like
pretty.
the white
That's
is
really
like a
pretty.
metallic color. I'm getting it
Yeah.
off the fact that the cover is just like. But yeah, people, if you've watched any of my videos, you've heard me talk about the Shadow of the Fox series. I purposely waited to do a review on it because I just wanted to see what the third cover was going to come out with so that I could figure out how to do a makeup look where I combine all three covers. I don't know if that's going to be possible considering the first cover is red and black. The second cover is like teal and silver. And then the third cover is like purple and gold. I don't know if that's going to be a possible thing, but I don't know. We'll see.
Won't know until you try.
Yeah. Also, thanks for not coming at me crazy for making that video about how I didn't like A River of Royal Blood. It appears that multiple people did not like A River of Royal Blood, and multiple people felt cheated and lied to by the publishing company by them advertising it as a North African book. I was not the only one. Apparently, everybody is like, we still trying to find the African part of this.
Wow.
Apparently, the author said that she had to cut a lot out of the book in order to get the book published. And it's like, I would actually love to have an interview with her to ask her about that.
Yeah,
and ask her about like what did the publisher feel like you needed to change?
That's so unfortunate.
And then still advertise it as North African fantasy. We'll have a whole discussion one day about publishers and their situation. Hey, unfortunately, you literally popped up at a fantastic time, but not a great time for you because it seems as if our time is done. Ooh, a clap when you land does come out soon. I'm ready to cry. Are y'all ready for Elizabeth Acevedo's next book?
I honestly think about it at least once a day. I do.
Listen, I'm waiting for the day that I open my email and it's like, we would like to send you
Yes.
an offer of Elizabeth Acevedo. I'll be like, I have made it.
But here's the thing. Her audiobooks give me life. So whenever I listen to an audiobook or on my way to work, I'm like, gosh, I can't wait to hear Elizabeth Acevedo's voice on my way to work. I'm like, I can listen to the old ones, but I need something new.
It's her voice and then it's another voice. I can't remember her name, but as soon as I remember her name, I'm gonna post it. It's another girl who reads audiobooks so freaking well that I'm just like captivated by their voice.
Yeah.
In the story. But novelists, we have not forgot about a Discord. We're trying not to do everything at once. We are Discord is on the list. We just got to figure out how we're going to handle that because that is going to actually require moderators other than us. So we just have to decide how that's going to happen. But that will not happen. At least that will not even be in the discussions until at least third quarter of this year. Because priorities are throwback-a-thon, rebranding, and podcasting. And after that, we will expand further. But yeah, Reads with Rachel says her voice is like a warm hug. That is the
it really is.
Facts. Of Elizabeth's voice ever. You feel like you're in the room with her and she's just talking to you about something. That's
right.
But yes, we've officially reached our 2-hour mark.
We have.
All of us probably have to go to the bathroom, so we're probably
going to girl.
I feel like we really said some great things about the book without being overly triggering. At least I hope.
I hope so.
Overall, we all gave it very high rankings. We highly recommend it. Take long breaks while reading it. Take mental, emotional, and physical breaks.
Yes.
You know?
It's a very intense book. But
it's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's still a good book.
It's a very well written, and I'm excited to see what else she writes in the future.
Same.
I hope less autobiographical. Actually, less magic. I'll take the autobiographical as long as it's no more magical realism.
Yeah, I feel like if I didn't go into this book with the preconceived notions that I had already, I wouldn't have had such an issue with all of the magical realism / fiction / autobiographical. I honestly feel like if I had never gone into this book with those preconceived notions, it would have pretty much gone, it would have been a less frustrating reading experience for me in that sense. So I might actually reread this book someday once I've recovered from this time around.
Trauma.
But Echo Brown, if for any random reason you're watching this, we all really enjoyed your book, and we look forward to see what you write in the future.
Yes. I'm gonna
Thank you.
a highlighter.
Quarter one ends on a high note.
It's over. Remember, everything else is happening on the Bookish Wallflower for April, May, and June. So we will catch you over there.
Please go subscribe. Go get you a copy of the book. And happy reading.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.